And we are live. Welcome, everybody. April the 7th, today, Monday, 10 o'clock Finnish time. Good morning, Europe. Good afternoon, Asia. Thank you for tuning in wherever you're watching us from. On the other part of the world, some people might be still sleeping. You watch the replay later on. This is On Air with me, Chryssa Skodra, OneStream Live's brand ambassador and host of the On Air show. In today's episode, we have a great topic in store for you. We are tackling a very important issue in live streaming, the role of a voice and body language. And I have a special guest that I will bring shortly into the studio. You know, in the world of live streaming, your voice and your body language, your posture, your facial expressions are just as important as your content. So the way you speak, the way you move, the way you connect with your audience through the tone of your voice, your facial expressions, this is how you build trust. You create this emotional impact with your invisible audience, and hopefully you keep your viewers engaged, because this is what you want to do, right? If you have a message you want to convey, you have to make sure that everything else around it as well captures the attention, and people want to listen to you. They want to stay tuned for the longest time possible. So wherever, whether you're teaching or wherever you are, if you're in a setting where you're doing sales, or you have a webinar, or you're hosting your own podcast, you want to your presence to have this powerful look that you create an impact. So today, I have the great pleasure of bringing into the studio a special guest who has a lot of experience exactly on these areas, on voice, on presence. And I will shortly now welcome her into the studio. Today with me, I have the great pleasure of welcoming Katri-Liis Tilk-Tichisan from Estonia. Hi,
Thank
Katri-Liis.
you. Thank you, Chryssa. You pronounced it so well, Tikishan. It's not an easy name.
Yeah,
Bravo.
Katri-Liis Tilk-Tichisan. I practiced before, a little that
Exactly.
stumble there, but so let me tell a couple of words about you to our listeners, and let me actually connect the chat here to tell everybody that this is live. Katri-Liis and I, we are here live, and we want to hear from you. If you have any questions, any comments, make sure you write to us. I'll see any comments that appear here on the OneStream live studio, and I'll bring them to my screen. I know some of you might be working, some of you might be still sleeping in some other parts of the world, but stay engaged. Katri-Liis and I will check your comments even at a later stage after this on-air live session ends. So let me tell a couple of words about Katri-Liis, because it's a great pleasure to have her here with us today. She is based in Estonia, but she has an international career as a voice coach. She has helped more than 4,000 plus professionals from all walks of life, from European Parliament politicians to teachers to journalists to business people, leaders, to gain confidence with their voice, to find their influential voice, to achieve all their goals they want in their public speaking, in the way they use their own voice and posture and body language. She has her own workshop that she coined with this Find Your Influential Voice concept that she will tell us all about it. But today, she's here to give you also practical tips. So stay tuned. It's a pleasure and great honor to have Katri-Liis here with her 15 plus years of experience. And Katri-Liis, tell us a little bit briefly about your background. I know you come from the arts, from singing, so you bring that to the forefront. I personally have done theater before, and I think for me, doing theater back in the days as an amateur actress, we didn't have microphones, so you have to project your voice to the last viewer there, to the last spectator in the theater. But you have also a background from the art. So tell us a little bit about how your passion got ignited and how did you turn it into a profession?
Thank you, Chryssa. So it's a really honor to be here. And the same way, like you mentioned about your background in theater, yes, I do have it in singing. And coming from a singing revolution country, Estonia, so obviously I sang in choirs, also in ensembles. But I continued my singing career in Finland, actually, which always, when life goes the way you don't expect, I was just going to just for a short, let's say half a year, to just have a little bit more experience. But it actually turned out to be 27 years living in Finland. But based on Finland, then I traveled internationally and worked also in other countries and US. But mainly starting from the arts, I worked as a professional, as a classical singer, and mainly in choirs and ensembles. So sure, I was also a soloist, but I'm mainly a team worker. So I like to do music with others. And the stage is, yes, you mentioned, it's an important, it's a nervous place to be, as you know, and stage fright wasn't. It was a big issue also for me, and actually, it was one of the things why I started to actually take care of my body, because I didn't do things great with my body back in days when I was starting as a singer. I was feeling sick, almost vomited, fainted when I had to go straight in the air and so on. So I had to find the ways to help myself. And Pilates was one of them. In Finland, there are a lot of good techniques. I found what is called also a voice massage by Leena Koskinen, but also other techniques. So all these together brought me to work with the voice more holistically, like not only the voice that you think that your voice starts from your throat. No, it's not true. So physically, yes, vocal cords are there, but all your body is making a voice. And this is a more and more people start to know about it, but still it seems to be like a surprise. Really, I thought that I only like move my mouth and it comes from here. No, actually, it's the smallest part. Although this is the part what audience sees, which is also very important, because as you say, now we are in a virtual background here. We see only each other's, like mainly face and upper part of the body. So it's super important what kind of body language, impressions, and especially facial impressions we got. Because although we're using the word body language, I would say it's a wrong word a little bit. I would say it's mainly a facial language, because even if we're going to see all your body, mainly we always look at the face of the one.
Yes.
However, if you have anything to out of sync, like let's say your face expression is friendly or is very stabilized, and all of a sudden your hands start to move out of sync, or you start slouching on one hand, so it's out of sync, and then persons are looking to your body language. It's out of sync, but otherwise they are not so much looking at your body, like a little bit in the
I like
beginning scanning.
I like the word that you mentioned, holistically. So let's, when we look at the big picture, but also we have different parts. Now, for the viewers and everybody watching and listening, let's break it down. Do you want to start with the facial expression or the body language, or what is the right way you think I would like to break it down? Do we start from the posture, or then we go to the face, and then we go to the voice? So we start from the bigger picture, going there to the smaller entity, or do we start from the voice and then the face and then the body? What's the way you want to approach
Yeah,
this?
if we would be in training, which we kind of little bit are, because we're going to go having some practical exercises today. In a practical setting, I would start with the bigger muscles, with a bigger body, like body and then
Exactly.
go smaller. However, today we are also a little bit talking about even more wider as a holistically, since we are not only training but also discussing. Therefore, I would start a little bit even wider. What is the setup for the voice? Because it can change. For example, are we doing a podcast like today, or you are there with investors, or you are in a sales situation, or you are in leadership situation? So it can vary a lot. So what are the needs for the voice? So I would then after that tell.
Let's start. The setup now is live streaming. Let's imagine that we are having our listeners who want to have their own podcast, they want to host their own webinar, they want to convey a message for their brand, their company, and they're content creators. They, let's say, they get OneStream Live. It's a great tool to multi-stream to all their social media and web, and then they're wondering, as you said, I have the stage fright, or how do I turn on and be on camera? So they have to tackle these fears they might have, and let's try to help them that they get confidence and some ideas just to get started. Because I think once you get the ball rolling, then you feel more confident. Of course, it comes with experience, right? I've had stage fright when I was 4 years old, and until now, I think it's a great improvement of where I was as a child to where I'm now at age 41. So let's help content creators that want to engage in live streaming. When they see this live, as we are now, there's a live thing going on, a light blinking, and you're like, oh my God, how should I overcome this? So walk us
Yes.
through, how would you advise content creators who want to go live?
I would say this stage fright is really important thing because it can kind of freeze you from the start, and actually you start procrastinating, you start to find yourself as an imposter syndrome. Actually, I'm not good enough. I'm actually, who am I to talk about? And so on and so forth. So it's very easy to come. Don't go there if possible. So know that it's going to come and it's going to want to tackle you. However, think, what is your passions? Why you want to do this web stream? So for example, I'm also nervous sometimes. And especially earlier stages, I was thinking, how do I look? Does it make sense what I'm speaking? Is it cohesive or coherent? Like, am I jumping from one theme to another? But actually, it is making you who you are. So I would say start with that, because it's going to help a lot with your stage fright, because you're going to be like more merciful to yourself. It's okay to jump from one theme to another, or not look I don't know, super good all the time, or do the mumbling sounds and don't find the correct word and so forth. So with this we tackle your nerves, or we kind of soothe them from the early stages. It's very important. And after that, just start practicing. You don't have to go right on the air, but practice as if you are going on the air. Your neurons, your mirror neurons from your brain, they need it. You need to practice. You need to have a so-called muscle memory. So you are training like sports, in the muscle memory. How does it feel to be on air? Even if I'm playing, I'm acting it. And this is called the simulation, very important part of the training.
And this is also important to know. That's why I love OneStream Live, because you don't have to go completely live. You can pre-record your stream, and the great tool here, one of the feature is that there is a teleprompter. I personally don't use it so much, but it's there. If I want, I can put my script there on screen. The viewers don't see it, so you can practice. There is a script, a teleprompter. They're showing your script. You can pre-record. If you're not happy, you don't have to stream that video file. And that's, as Katri-Liis mentioned, it's great to practice, because of course it makes then you're more confident, and you build that muscle memory.
And can I say, Chryssa, I liked what you said about the practice, that find also tools, like OneStream is a tool, and also if you have a professional microphone, or at least do some type of setup for yourself, like a professional corner at your studio home, or where you're doing it. But have like a setup, like a consistent setup, that I'm going to use this lamp or this microphone or this cable and so forth. Because in the beginning, it soothes you down, your nervous system. And I'm doing the same, like Chryssa is saying that I'm not later on anymore using the prompter or the video there. And I did the same in the radio studio when I had to do the radio, like podcasts or whatever news reading. Sometimes we readers, we have to put headphones, but sometimes I'm even said people take the headphones off, because in the beginning it gives you nice feedback, but it's a little bit tricky thing also, because I would say, try to be live, like the name here is OneStream live, so that you are not dependent on microphones or on headphones or on the prompter. So if you go in any other setting, you are like total out of whack. What's going to happen now? So just bit by bit later on, try to be even that you don't need all this technique. You know who you are also without.
So it's good that you mentioned about the technical setup, but if we, and as you said, things can break, things cannot work. It's important to be comfortable with your own voice, to project it correctly, even though you don't have an external microphone. What Katri-Liis techniques you can give, or do you have this kind of rituals before to prepare the voice, to prepare the body before you go into this live streaming? I have to say, one thing I do, I don't know if it helps in anyhow, but it's a mental ritual for me. I like to brush my teeth because, in real life, when you give a presentation in front of a real audience, you want to have a fresh breath, right? So this has become sort of a habit. Even though I come here, talk to the camera and an invisible audience, and you don't smell my breath, it's a ritual for me to brush my teeth, to maybe gargle the water, and that maybe soothes my vagus nerve down as well. But do you
Exactly.
have any tips regarding the physical body? Tell us about the vocal cords, tell us about the muscles. What can people do to calm their nerves and get into the zone of talking in front of an invisible audience?
Mm-hmm. That was very important what you said about brushing the teeth, because it's a mental thing. It gives you soothing also from that direction. But you do it with your body. So that's the clue. And I would say this is also one other reason why it helps you, because by brushing your teeth or gargling or so on, you are using your body. And while you are using your body, you are so-called in your body. And when you are in your body, you are not anymore so nervous, because your body starts to calm yourself down. And therefore, these rituals before going live or whatever, doing your sessions, training session or client session or whatever you have, from the voices part of you, there are mainly three parts of the body that make voice, but all these three parts use them to make the voice differently. Lower part of the body, which is your roots, your grounding, biggest part, biggest muscles, and biggest effect, I would say. That gives your voice strength and resilience, that it really lasts until the end of the sentence and end of the long day. Middle part of the body, from the hips upwards, here where the collarbones, these bones here are, not that these bones are so important, but they are enough far away from your vocal cords, which means that we need to keep the vocal cord area relaxed. So therefore we are far enough away. So middle part of the body needs actually from you openness. So you can already do a small exercise here with me. So you can, if you are in a convenient place with yourself, of course, you can stretch up your hands and you feel the openness in your rib cage, both from the breathing state of point of view, but also the resonance, the deepness, richness, and fullness of your voice. So you need to open it. If you're slouching, if you're closing it, it will not help you. So openness is the first keyword. However, the second keyword is flexibility. So all types of movements. So you can also move a little bit there. However, when you are moving, especially us ladies, we like our salsa and so on. So we can move also quite, let's say, our body can be like not so open. So make sure that you move quite openly. It may not be very natural to you, I understand, but it's super good for your body, for your health and breathing. So two keywords in the middle part, open and flexibility.
Uh-huh.
However, this is important for what? This is important that you would have a connection with your audience. Now we are a live web stream. I have a connection with a microphone here and Chryssa from the screen. But you can still imagine that imaginary people, and that makes you lively. If you remember, Chryssa said in the beginning of this podcast, so you need to engage your audience. You need to be a little bit extra because you don't have a physical person there giving you energy. And also this physical person don't have you with him or her there in the room. So you need to give a little bit extra. Always web streaming, all virtual connections, they need more extra energy for you. And now you can do it physically, moving your body like towards your imaginary audience, or, which is even more advanced thing, in some setups you cannot move, of course, when the microphone is really set up and so forth. So then imagine that inside your body you are still open and flexible. Don't slouch, don't go back using only the surface of your body, because it then as a result into your throat. You're going to have problems on one hand, but also your voice doesn't sound very good. It goes creaky, nasal, it has all types of problems.
One thing about the voice, what I have learned, I've done 10 years of radio. I was a radio journalist, 5 years in Greece and 5 years in Finland. And what I realized was that how different the voice sounds when you're smiling. So I've always had this smile on, even though I was in a studio that nobody watched me. And I was smiling, and then I would listen to my shows, and of course, my voice sounded so much better. Of course, by the end of a 2 hour radio show, my muscles were hurting, but I was happy with the way my voice sounded. And when I later on started teaching here in Finland, and I advise my students to smile. First of all, we are human beings, right? We like to see smiley faces, right? Compared to someone who is grumpy and stone cold. And so, of course, people have personalities and cultural issues and so on. But I think we still are humans, and happiness is a universal emotion. And then I think the voice, the way the muscles are pulled up, tell us a little bit about that. Is smiling a way to make the voice bounce better in the mouth and make it more pleasant? Of course, not to sound constantly, but how do we keep this balance between smiling and sounding pleasant, but also be taken seriously and having a professional tone? What's the right balance there?
It's an extremely good question, because this was the third part of the body that we need. As the first was our grounding, our hips and legs, middle part of the body, and now it's the third part, our head. And about the head, it's important to understand that it has what is in voice world we are calling a frontal part, front part of your head, and back part, and that's connected to Chris's question. Because if you, for example, like play with yourself and putting your hands next to your ears, so you can physically yourself feel like doing this exercise with me, that don't smile at first, just relax all your face, and now try to smile. So now you can feel where are your muscles now activated. So yes, they are frontal side of your head, smiling muscles, cheekbones, all this area, nasal cavity, and so forth. So this therefore brings the clarity to your voice, but also the pleasantness. However, it's only half of your skull, half of your head. There is also a second half, which is behind your hands. And this is also, I feel a lot, especially youth or younger generation, not using so much, but also sometimes in older generation. How can we train this? By yawning. So when we are normally yawning, we are opening our mouth. It's a normal. We start yawning. But try to do a yawning, softly closing still the lips. Don't let them open. And because of that, you can yawn inside your mouth. What happens? Soft palates, the roof of the mouth, goes up and opens the spaciness also in your mouth. So typically when we have a nasal speaker, who speak a little bit from the nose and so on, or let's say in some cultures when the intonation in, let's say, French culture has a little bit lot here in the French, here in the, or in Italian, or so forth. So it's good sometimes in certain languages then to balance it more with this yawning feeling inside. And the good kind of imaginary feeling for yourself, but please take it with humor, is from one of my teachers who was an opera singer and had a show back in US in metropolitan New York. And she was, after the show, visiting ambassador. So there was an ambassador party, and this my teacher was there, and this is a true story from this ambassador. So imagine you now with me here. You are now there in this ambassador party. So you smile because you are in America. So you activate the first part of your face. However,
Hi.
you are you are super tired because it's after the long show. It's past midnight probably, and so you want to yawn, but your ambassador, you cannot show it. So try to find a little bit, but this is also only a softness. So you open your head area, all these nasal cavities, just for acoustical reasons. You don't have to work with it or anything, but just don't let them slouch, because youth is a little bit like, I don't care, man, what are you doing here? Like, it's all slouching here. They are not using this. You just open it, but mainly smile, like Chryssa said. So smile is the not only it helps with your voice, but it helps with the connection with the audience.
Katri-Liis, you spoke about the three parts of the body, from down, the grounding, the middle part, and now the upper part where we have the face and so on. One question about the middle part. What do you think about hand gestures in live streaming? Because I feel when we are here, if we look, for example, our heads and we have no hands, we look like AI avatars. Nowadays, it could be we could be generated, but we are real. I think AI cannot even do hands very well yet. So now I think showing the hands, and they say that when you show your palm, you create this kind of trust that, look, I have no weapon here and I'm friendly and hi, everybody. So, what do you think about the hand gestures in a live stream? Does this humanize the live stream? How much hands should be visible? What's the right balance there? Tell us what your thoughts about the middle part and hand gestures.
I would say the same kind of. Are they synchronized? Synchronized with the aim of your speech, or what is the background? What's the setup? And secondly, are they synchronized with your personality or your identity that you have there? For example, I am here now as an expert of voice, but let's say yesterday I sang and I did a lot of like different exercises. So the setup was totally different. So I could use yesterday my hands differently. But here in the web stream, look at yourself, how we see each other. You said it very correctly. We see mainly the talking heads. And even if the head is extremely, let's say, engaging and our personality comes up and so forth, so it's still a professional setup. So you want to be taken seriously. So your main word, I would say, is a confident. So people want, or you want people to take you seriously and as a confident person. However, the hands are part of engaging, inspiring part of yourself. So like roughly speaking. So however, if you want to inspire your listeners, I would recommend actually that at least in the beginning of your or web stream or so, take your status, make yourself confident, make your listeners to believe you that you are an expert. And if you kind of found it, like let's say first 5 sentences, at least 10 sentences, go for it. Start to be who you are. But at least when you tell who I am, unless you have like a brand already, like a very moving and using hand person and so forth, so it can be distracting a little bit. So you're still giving yourself a grounding, like who am I as a professional, who am I as a person. People are still like, because you don't know who your listeners are. Half of them are very sensitive, very like not so open persons, yeah, like introverts, etc. So you want to be there in the golden middle way for everybody. However, there will be people who would love your like hand gestures and everything.
I think it's we have to understand, as you said, what is the purpose of what you're doing, what is your audience. If you have a better understanding, is your audience confined to a specific geographic region, or you're talking to the world? And also, what thing I personally don't like is the monotony. When
Absolutely.
somebody is monotonous with their voice and there's nothing else, and I mean, people might be switching away. To keep that engagement, to keep that, I think the key here is to have purposeful gestures that are in sync. So if you say something, you could emphasize like this,
Exactly.
not constantly, but to find this, and of course what comes naturally to you, what makes sense to your brand, to your personality. One thing I don't like is the fidgeting, and I think this is something many people perhaps um, can be aware of, that they might be fidgeting or touching or
Krista,
scratching.
yes, exactly, exactly. So, but the problem is that whatever you are doing, coming back to these hand gestures things, because what is the purpose? A person, first of all, starts to do a hand gesture because hands are extensions of our body, especially the middle body, because they start there. And what happens in our middle body is our expressivity, so our emotions and our connection with an audience, with our who is listening. So the purpose, the reason we start to move the hands, for example, is to have a better connection with our audience, or we want to, like you said, emphasize some word, or this is a part of our personality, identity. We like to use it, and this is a lively way. So if you know that this is my purpose for this goal, for this setup that I have today, and it suits it, go for it. But if you are like in a professional, like expert, especially here in the Nordic countries, Baltics, where we come from, if I would be a professional, like interviewed to a TV or radio or whatever, where I will be shown, I will not, because in this culture here, it's like it's more norm that you're not
You do
using your
move a lot.
gestures.
You do move, Katri-Liis, a lot for an Estonian lady. I see
I
your hair.
do,
You
I
have
do.
you have your have you done some dancing as well, or is it part of your trainings that you
I
focus
don't
on the
know why it's
body?
going. Yeah, because they call me like you are too American, but or whatever, or too French, or this and that. This is just my personality. But this is also what I suggest to you. If this is who you are, leave it, make it like this. But my point earlier was, but if I would know that I will go a certain setup, but that this movement is not looking, let's say, for the best, I will control myself a little bit better, that I would be more like an official
Yeah.
and so forth.
I think it's so important also, as I said, with the power of OneStream Live, you can pre-record yourself and have this kind of test videos where you see yourself, how you project, how is your voice, how is your facial expression. Of course, on the other hand, I want people and listeners out there not to be too critical of yourself, because if you start thinking, I don't like my voice, I don't like my nose, I don't like the way I move, I don't like
Exactly.
this eye, then we would never do anything. So I want to encourage people, as we said earlier, practice makes perfect. We
Hmm.
haven't been professional voice coaches or journalists or hosts and so on. Sort of
Hmm.
the experience has given us more confidence. So I believe everybody has a voice and a great message to share. So find your message and trust your voice. If
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
passionate about a topic, make it happen. I would like to ask you now, Katri-Liis, about the voice. So if we look here at our voice, how important is the tone of voice? We talk about being monotonous, and in terms of engagement in a live stream, or the narrator kind of energy. So tone of voice. How about pauses? Are poses important, or
Hmm.
other elements regarding the voice as such? Because some people might want to do even an audio podcast. Even with one stream, you could play another video here and just record your voice, right? So you can talk over some other materials. You can stream here and share videos, and your voice could be, you can have a reaction, for instance, only on audio. So if we isolate just the voice, give us some tips for
Hmm.
the voice, pauses, tone,
Hmm.
pace.
Hmm. So I would actually recommend all listeners to do a little exercise together, but this is a mental exercise, or even if you want to write it down. So from voice's point of view, I like how Roger Love, one of the great voice coaches in US, are structuring the 5 elements of voice. We can go parts of our brand, because with your voice, you are your own brand ambassador, isn't it? So these 5 parts have all a scale of 1 to 10, and I would like you to think, you listener now, think of yourself what number from 1 to 10, when 1 is the smallest, the 10 the biggest, and 5 the average, would you give yourself? And the first character is volume. How loudly are you speaking naturally? Like what kind of culture you come from or family you come from? Are you tend to speak more than 5? More of a loud voice or less than 5? Just what's your average? Because when you're going into nervous situation that doing live stream, for example, you tend to be who you naturally are. Just to let you know. Second criteria is the pitch. How high you are speaking or how low pitched you are speaking. And here we have two different criteria for males and females. So I, as a female, we do also tend, so female voice is resonating in the head voice mainly. Therefore, females' voices are higher. And therefore, we tend, when we get stressed, everybody's voice go higher and more like squeezed and so on. So females' voices therefore tend to go more squeezy, more higher. But male voice, although is lower, we also like to listen male voices. And so all over the lower range of the pitch is better. So if we say the 5 is average, so under 5, the lower range would be more, let's say, confident. However, if you want to have some engaging parts when you're having an emphasis in your voice, naturally your voice raises, like my voice now. So let it raise, it's fine, because it adds the inspiration, the motivational part. The third part of the voice criteria is tempo or speed, and also pauses are part of this. So what is the average tempo? Like again, under 5 slow speakers, on top of 5 is quicker speakers. Like I would presume, Chryssa, coming from a Greek standard, I would presume you are a little bit more quicker speaker. And I, for Estonian, is also, I'm more of a quicker speaker. So again, for your purpose, especially if you're teaching something new, don't tend to speak too quickly. So at least make pauses, because if you are teaching people something new, all this information is new. You are a kind of a teacher or educator to them. So make pauses so they have time to take it in. However, don't make it boring, like Chryssa said.
Yes.
In every sentence, there needs to be an emphasis. Yes.
I'm watching sometimes my son watching some YouTubers who show how games are played, right? So this is very important for kids and boys or to learn. And there's some these young live streamers who show all the tips and tricks of how do you manage to get past the levels in this game. And oh my God, they go so fast. So I think it's also a generational issue. I think talking to younger people, perhaps if your audience is of this younger generation, perhaps the pace have to be fast because they're used to this very, hey everybody, thank you for tuning in and this is great and it's fun.
Exactly.
And again, if you're talking to another generation and the topic is perhaps more complex and the generation's a little bit older, I think it's important to know also to what is your audience, where are they coming from, and maybe for the younger generation, if you're teaching at a university, maybe then you have to make things a little bit faster, otherwise you lose your audience. Like boring.
Exactly. And also you could use a tip that when I've been working with, let's say, physical trainers, let's say, like sports instructors, and you can, with your speed, I mean, with your tempo of your voice, you can then like put people do more, like lift your leg, do it more, like, and then quicker and intensify and then you can work. You can start like slowly, so you can make very lively. And this is
So
actually
the
the next.
variation, right? Like we can
Exactly. And
do
that's the
variation.
next. That's the fourth, variation or variety, let's say, of the voice. And here we have also intonation, emphasis, how much the voice goes up and down, how much intonation, the language difference. We are using English, our intonation goes up. In Swedish, humodi, we are going up. In Estonian, in Finnish, puhutaanko tästä vaan, ei mene mihinkään ylös. So it depends on the language, how much the intonation is changing or not changing. But now it's important to understand for your goal, like I said, the first goal is confidence typically. So our volume, which was our number one. So if you have at least 5, like average volume, it emphasizes your confidence. So if you have this very small volume there, your confidence is not so great. But it could be okay because we are using microphone. I'm also close to the microphone, so it can emphasize it. Also, pitch, if it's lower pitch, it emphasizes your confidence. Also, your speed, or tempo, it emphasizes your confidence. But this variety we are talking now, this emphasizes your inspirational part. If you want to motivate people, inspire them, so you have to know why you are doing something and what it adds. However, the last part, your voice's tone or timbre, is the softness of your voice versus if our scale now one part is a softer voice and the other is more harsh, edgier, it's like a commanding type of voice. So be careful with that, because this is absolutely non-listener friendly. This is a type of the part of our voice which, when we are doing a microphone work like right now, this is a super important. If not, your voice is soft, more of a softer side, people don't want to listen to you. So make sure, and this is the only criteria of the voice that comes from the throat, if there is a pressure of the throat, and as discussed, the pressure of the throat comes if other parts of the body are not working. If you're not smiling, if you're not open and engaged with the middle part, but especially your legs, feet. Which brings me to, we are now standing with you, I presume, isn't it? So we are standing. Standing position gives us strong feet, strong legs, and we can really work with this strength, and our sentences, like, we do have enough energy. They are resonating until the end of the sentence. But in sitting position, when you're sitting, make sure you sit on your sit bones, like so-called sitting bones when you are sitting there, and also on the edge of your chair. Don't slouch, because bad things happen to your breathing, to your posture, and your voice goes back into the upper part of it, and it's so easy to go to the throat, and this non-listener friendly, harsh and edgy voice tone is very easy to come. Or other, let's say, mannerisms of voice, like nasality, or like I don't care, this or that.
What do you
And
think, Katri-Liis? That's a good point. Now, I was planning to ask you, what do you think about filler words? Of course, we are humans. We might, have something we want to say, and we might use this little filler words here and there. In my opinion, if they're not done so much, they don't bother me. We're humans. Of course, we need to, because otherwise I feel like we're reading from a script, like, okay, there's no filler words because you're reading. So that, to me, that's artificial. So I do like my speakers to be natural. Naturally, we do have fillers when we're talking with friends and so on. Again, is the right balance having this filler words, or is it something you want completely omitted when you're giving a public speech? What do you think?
Filler words, it's good to know that these are connected to your psyche or your psychology. So and also on the other hand, it can be just a habit. But first of all, why they are starting in the moment when you're not sure, not ready to say your next sentence or next word. So you're kind of thinking. So if it's only that, then, and you are still aware that this is happening, stop yourself. And this is, of course, better to do in the training mode, not in the actual going on live mode, but yeah, start by training by yourself. So when you catch yourself, just understand that you are now filling a pause, which you don't need to fill. And there are different reasons why people are doing it, because some people feel that there is a pause, just a silence. I can't bear a silence, so I'm feeling it. That's the reason I'm feeling it. The other reason, sometimes some people like it, that they like the sound of their voice. They just, what's going to be next? So there are a million different reasons why people are doing. However, quite soon it becomes a habit. And if it's just a filler word, it's like better than, mainly I see a lot of people using kind of, sort of, or whatever,
Yeah.
or what I'm using this whatever, or myself. So just to be aware, do I actually need them? And then you mentioned the important thing when you really have a big like presentation coming up or sales speech or something, know your sentences, because when I'm teaching people to do elevator speeches or similar, when they know what they're going to say next, it's not so easy these filler words will even want to come in. It comes in while you are actively thinking at the same time, what should I say next? It just tells you yourself, I haven't practiced it enough because I need to think what comes next. Just do practice 10 minutes more and it's gone, you know. Not
Good.
everybody, but it's a good way to do it. So, and also I like what you said, that it's not such a big problem, I would say. We are making it be, if it's only like but if it starts to be already the words or several sentences as a filler, then it's a problematic thing.
Right. Katri-Liis, let's now look at you. You have been very active. I had a chance to be coached by you when I was, I think, studying at the teacher higher education to get my pedagogical qualification here in Finland. Tell us a little bit about what you're working at the moment. Something related to the voice Pilates, a book that you're currently writing, an institute you're developing. Coaching people from the European Parliament, being a consultant, having your own business. What are you currently doing? Tell us a little bit about all the cool things you are doing at the moment.
So yeah, you are right about the book, because the book is about voice codes, and it's also a very holistical like point I'm taking to the voice. It's half of like a workbook, how to use your voice, but also together with my life stories, the situation that happened to me, to just illustrate, to give you examples. And its parts will be, which I think going to be a very important to people to understand, that we do have a connection between, of course, our body and voice,
Mhm.
but also between our mind and voice, how our mind controls our voice, then how our emotions control our voice, how my emotions had controlled my voice. So giving this wasn't so
Is
easy
the
for
book
me.
in English, and when is about to be published, or is it a
And
physical book or a digital version?
yeah, first, I'm planning to put the actual book firstly, because I'm situating in Estonia, to publish first in Estonian language here in a written version, but as an audio book in three languages: Finnish, English, and Estonian already as soon as possible.
I have an
But
idea for you, Katri-Liis,
yeah.
because not only you're easy to look at, you're a beautiful lady, but you have a pleasant voice and very good ideas and value to add in your coaching. I would suggest you host your own video podcast using OneStream Live. And you
Okay.
promote your book every chapter with a podcast episode, giving a little teaser to the audience, giving a little bit
Hmm.
free information and enticing people to read more if they're interested in the topic.
Absolutely, that would be the great. And really, the last thing that I would like from the book also, it's about your spirit. Let's say your life path, and also your voice is actually quite. And in my life has been like giving me signals if I'm not actual in my current in good for me life path. And my voice has kind of failed me. I was working back as a consultant back in times, and I was the only one who could, in this particular factory there far away, speak this language. So all the factory people and all the other consultants were waiting for me to go and now present the thing and translate the thing, but my voice failed me. I started coughing like almost blood, or it was really bad. And all these hundreds of people were waiting for me. However, after this moment, and I was just not so easy for me to say no to this gig. So I was in this particular situation, understanding then that this is not my path where to go. So this is also a possibility that your voice can signal you, tell you that you are not actually in your path. And if you are brave enough to listen to it, do then some changes in your life and listen to it. So it's really true for me, and I'm thinking that's quite true for many people.
Right. Tell us, Katri, since you mentioned that also, how can people protect their voice? If you can give us some good tips. One tip, I was studying in Sibelius Academy here in Finland in the music academy. I've done my master's degree there. And one opera singer said that before I go sing, I always put some salt in my vocal cord. So I swallow salt just to moisturize because salt contains the keeps the moisture in the mouth. So we have a message here. Katri-Liis, thank you. Let me bring it to the screen. Carolina says, thank you, Katri-Liis. That was truly informative and inspiring. The comment comes from YouTube. Thank you, Carolina, for your comment. And thank you indeed, Katri-Liis, for the information and all the inspiration here. So tell us a little bit tips to protect. Carolina, stay tuned here. You hear now how to protect our voices when we do public speaking one way or another, because we're doing it anyway in our job on a single everyday basis.
So one thing is good to understand before you go to warm up. And one good exercise to warm up is lip drilling. And try to be again soft with your vocal cords, with your throat, and try to also feel kind of a yodeling feeling. Yodeling meaning that you are not fixing your voice into some tone or area, but like just like softly going up and down yodeling, and the yodeling feeling there in your drilling lip drill. Then open the chest, open the rib cage area, and if it's okay, trying to then you open this opens your chest voice, and you can even put it I, so it already fills it up. If it's very early in the morning and you feel kind of tight and stuck and so on, so therefore typically it's good to understand to open the head area, the head voice, with the humming of the M or nasal N or M. But one biggest tip, if you don't have much time to warm up, open or warm your body, like go take the stairs to the place, come one step earlier, one bus step earlier out from the bus or whatever, run a little bit. So warm up the body. This is already warming up your voice as well. So this is a tip as for warming up. Then there are things not to do. Never press the vocal cord area. Never shout, press, push, strain, squeeze, but also cough if possible. Like knowing that coughing is okay. What is coughing? Coughing is that you are there in vocal cords, there are something irritating, some mucosa, something. So try to know that, okay, now there is some mucosa, because sometimes this mucosa is helping you. It's your like helper, especially if you have allergies now, there is a springtime and so on. So it could be that actually your helper, so don't like shoot your messenger. Try to swallow the mucosa if possible, not to cough. But if you need a cough, do a one coughing, but not with a big coughing or so. You are hitting your vocal cords, not good thing. And also coughing, especially males, I see this kind of like from the profession side, telling like, this is just a habit. They don't need to cough, but actually they're straining their vocal cords just to feel more, I don't know, taking seriously or something, but actually damaging themselves. So don't do that. And whispering also, don't whisper if possible. This is very damaging, not so good at your vocal cords. Sure, as an actor or as sometimes have fun, use it. But in whispering, you are tensing your vocal cords, you're drying them, not good.
And can we tell our children to whisper?
So sometimes, sure, a little bit.
Sometimes we have to.
Yeah.
Katri-Liis, Carolina's comment. Can you read Carolina's comment, please, yourself?
Yes. Looking forward to your upcoming book and the OneStream live podcast. I love your video and your holistic approach.
Your wisdom.
Wisdom. All right, wisdom. Okay. Oh, and she speaks also Estonian. Thank you. Aitäh.
What does it mean?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I don't know if she's Estonian or she speaks many
She
languages, but
speaks many, I suppose.
great. Thank you, Carolina, for watching. And everybody, you can watch. We are live now. As you see, we're taking comments as we go. So people, of course, you might be working, but you have a chance to watch this replay later on OneStream Live, uh, Facebook, YouTube, and my channels as well. Find me if you want to connect with me. I'm Chryssa Skotra. And of course, would you like Katri-Liis Tilk-Tichisan,
Exactly.
Tilk-Tichisan,
Yeah.
Tilk-Tichisan. Would you like to people to connect with you and find you on LinkedIn? What's the best way to people to reach out to you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is very good. Also, Facebook, you can find via my name, or Instagram. I'm with the word Voice Pilates, and just this my method that I created. And just recently, this weekend, yesterday, day before, we had a Finnish group in Tallinn, and there was a lot of activity in Instagram. People taking pictures and posting them there via Voice Pilates, and the work we did there. However. The web page
Not yet
voicepilates.com.
ready, is it? Or is it?
It was supposed to be launching this morning. I'm not 100% sure. It is
I
technical
checked
things.
and I didn't see it. Is it .com or
Okay,
.de?
it's
.com.
.com and it should be already live, but
Okay, let me check
let's hope
again.
within an hour it will be probably live.
Yeah, it's not yet there.
Okay,
Voicepilates.com is not yet, but
okay, it
check
will be.
out please voicepilates.com and find Katri-Liis Tilk-Tichisan, voice coach on Instagram. Voice Pilates is the method she developed. Get to know her more and her great work. I would like to thank you, Katri-Liis, for being with us this morning and sharing your wisdom and your holistic approach, as Carolina mentioned. Always a pleasure to look at you, to listen to you. You're a very great trainer. I speak from personal experience, and thank you for sharing all these interesting tips to our viewers and listeners.
Thank you, Chryssa. It was an honor to be here, and take care of your voices and use them for your best. They are your best tool as your brand ambassadors. They are showing all your credible talents and showing your possibilities. So use it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Katri-Liis. This was On Air, my bi-weekly show. I bring to you interesting topics that have to do with live streaming, branding, podcasting, storytelling, everything related to building your unique presence and voice and brand. And as Katri-Liis said, protect your voice. This is your signature, your audio brand. Your voice is your own unique audio signature, protected. Every episode is powered by OneStream Live. I'm their proud brand ambassador, company from Finland, a great product. From my browser here, I get a chance to multi-stream live to more than 45 social media destinations and my website as well, or put my iframe code wherever I want on websites. So that's a great a tip for content creators. You can multi-stream everywhere and keep your blog or website live with your own voice and audio brand and face. So thank you for tuning in and listening. I will come back to you on 2 weeks from now, 21st of April, with a great guest, a success story, an amazing lady from the US who has really made her own live stream very successful for her business using OneStream Live. So I'm streaming then success stories featuring one of our success stories instead of the on air. So I'll bring back to you one air episode again in May. Stay tuned, follow us on OneStream Live for more updates and see what's going on. Kisses from me. Have a nice day, and I'll see you on the 21st of May. Bye.